Hi, I'm June. I'm going to share with you a fear that I've had most of my life. And I literally faced fear right in the face. Like I dove headfirst into the abyss. And it's going to be a good action metaphor for quotes that you've heard, like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Look fear right in the face. I literally did that. And I love quotes that I can understand through experience because everything sounds incredible theoretically, conceptually. And that's why I love motion. Like I love the game of golf because you can think you're great or people can gaslight you and say you're no good or you are good or whatever. And it's just right there. You can't buy time. You've got to put in the time. You've got to do it. You've got to physically do it. And so it's just like it's right there in plain sight. And that's why I love skill sets and I encourage people to find their passion. And then, if you have fears, if you want to overcome them because there's so much that gives back on the other side of fear. So this one, the reason I've been so fearful of water is when I was young, I was just starting to get comfortable in the water, in the pool, when a kid that couldn't swim panicked and started pulling on me. And as he was climbing up my body to get oxygen, I was being pulled down. And I just felt like that was it. And ever since that time, I've been so fearful of water. Well, fast forward, and we moved to Hawaii. And I love the ocean. I think it's beautiful. And Adam's like, let's go snorkeling. I'm like, no. Because I've done a lot of things thus far. I mean, I've jeeped it in the mountains and cliffs, skydived, bungee jumped. And I told him, I said, you know what? I'll go bungee jumping off a bridge. I just don't want to go in the water. I don't need to. I've done enough. And I'm not really into fish at that time. That's what I said. I'm not really into fish and marine life. I love wildlife and I love animals on land. I'm good. And he kept encouraging me. And so I'm like, all right, I'll do it. So what I decided to do is instead of taking classes, because Adam's a great swimmer, he grew up with a pool in his backyard and he's just a great swimmer. I decided that I'm going to lean on him and then I'm going to practice in the pool and get used to my snorkel gear and just kind of get used to everything to see if I can get comfortable in the pool before we go into the ocean. I have great respect for nature and how powerful it can be. So I'm not going to be cocky and go, I'm going to just go in the ocean because I know how waves are very strong and I'm very respectful for coral. Also, I don't want to step on them. I don't want to panic and just stand on coral. And so I'm like, you know what? I got to get comfortable using my snorkel gear, floating and also treading and just making sure that I'm comfortable enough to stay afloat. So in the pool, I'm telling you, like, I remember freestyling. I kind of leaned on that, but I was always like freestyling to get to the other side so that I would hold on to the pool because I just was so scared. So I was more in like 3 feet of water and not in the other section. When I was just like so fearful, like I couldn't let go. So you're not going to see those videos because I don't have videos of them where I'm holding on. So you're going to see where it's the side effect of the preparation of getting in the ocean, but I'm still like freaking out. What I decided to do is use what I know that have helped me with the game of golf, because I know that sports transfer. I've seen so many students bring their sports technique. It could be anything from boxing to baseball to lacrosse to you name it. And I was able to transfer that into golf if it was good movement. Now, there are other sports movements that people use that were not good. Tennis, it could be anything. And if it's bad, I had to teach them the right fundamental golf swing that's athletic, and then they were able to transfer it back to their sport and be better for it. So what I decided is, you know what, I'm aligned in my golf swing and I have that coordination. And so I'm going to transfer it into snorkeling. And then surprisingly enough, at some point I started to free dive. So I took basic fundamentals to learn my snorkel gear, how to float, and how to use my fins. And then while I was learning that in the pool, Adam goes, "Hey, why don't you dive?" And I'm like, huh? So then he dives under and I'm looking at him like, wow, how'd you do that? And he goes, try it. And I tried, and the water is like a wall. And when you try to do it, it's water against human. Water's gonna win. It was like a wall. And the harder you try, there's just no way. So what I said to Adam was, what is the technique? And he said, you know, if you can bend at the waist, that's gonna help you. And I was off and running after that, because I know about setup, alignment in the golf swing. After he said that, I have taken that fundamental to this day to improve my freediving skills. And I know a lot about alignment in the golf swing and how important that is. And then also tilting in the golf setup. So I'm like, I know now what to focus on. If I were to dive, to know the basic fundamentals to that so that I can continue to fine tune it. So you'll see the progression as I do that. I want to clarify that I'm using the word freediving, but I don't know what people say in this arena, because I know in golf, like, there are people that's like, this is golf, this isn't golf. For me, if you play 9 holes, you play 18 holes, you keep score, you don't keep score, whatever, you compete, you don't compete, you're playing golf. Yeah, there's competitions, and there's different kinds and different ways to play, but I just call it golf. I don't know in this arena of snorkeling and diving and all that. I know for sure I'm not scuba diving. I feel like it's free diving, but then somebody who's more advanced may say, well, that's not free diving. To me, I feel free, I'm diving. The longest dive is around 25 feet, almost 30 feet. And so I feel like it's free diving, but somebody may call it advanced snorkeling. It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna call it free diving, but I just wanna make that clear. What's cool about this video is my intention was to just get somewhat comfortable and survive the water. And then it turned into free diving and snorkeling. In this video, a lot of this happened within a few months to 6 months. And I've been free diving and snorkeling for a year now. And I'll be turning 50 next month. So I just realized that I need to tell you that, because even with my golf swing and game, a lot of people don't know my age. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm turning 50 next month. I'm 5'6", 115 pounds roughly. And I'm hitting my driver 240 carry with roll to 250 to 285. I mean, that's why I'm telling you how important fundamentals are, because most of you should be out driving me easily. I mean, a lot of you are a lot stronger than I am. I don't work out. And so what's cool is I always say that the one swing that I teach conditions your body. It gives you enough flexibility and strength. And rightly so, when I started to swim and free dive, I didn't get sore. When you do the right motion in the golf swing, it conditions your entire body. So I had enough strength to be able to carry that over into swimming and freediving and not feel sore because it was the same muscles that I was using for golf. Isn't that cool? So that's another cool thing about this whole experience. I know a lot of you who are in your 30s blaming your age for losing distance and how your game is declining because of age. And I'm like, no. What it really is you're doing the wrong motion and it's not aging well. So what I'd like you to do is really know the importance of fundamentals. There are so many parts of this video, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing. But at the same time, I've built that muscle. Like I have, through the game of golf and life, I've built emotional muscle, embarrassment muscle, daring to change muscle, because just the game of golf itself, if you can take it to many levels, you need that. If not, you're always going to be trying to be cool, trying to just do what you know, and then you don't get to take it to many levels because it's just fun. You know, I'm not trying to be a professional freediver, but you'll see that I'm just having fun with it because then I can enjoy the marine animals more and be in their space and not scare them away so I can hang out with them. That's kind of my goal actually, is how to dive more efficiently, quietly, peacefully, so I can hang with them. That was so cool from above.
Yeah.
It was like this whole ocean inside the boat.
Yeah.
Rewind to the first day in the ocean. I was so scared and mesmerized at the same time, so when Adam gave me a thumbs up, it took me a while to respond. Adam and I still laugh about how big my eyes were. It was so difficult to float and just balance, and I didn't know how to use my fins. I was just bicycling. That's not treading, that's bicycling. And then I decided I'm going to dive on my first day in the ocean. I figured if I did something like that, it would just make everything a lot easier. I got lost in the moment and then realized I needed oxygen. I always emphasize proper fundamentals in golf, so I applied it to this. My first focus was to balance and stay afloat. Then I asked Adam, how do you use your fins? I wanted to learn how to do it efficiently because it was going to take me a while to get out of that bicycling motion. And then when I would dive, I would also bicycle down. And I would use my arms, and later I learned not to. But I'm just getting used to everything. I almost ran into that coral. I remember that moment right there when I just got a burst of speed because I did the right motion. I do it again here where I bicycle and then I wake myself up and do the right motion. I was able to get to the bottom of the ocean and touch the sand, but it was purely willpower. My technique was not there, and it was a lot of effort, but it was a breakthrough moment for me. This is what I see when golfers have the wrong technique and someone says, swing faster, swing slower. It doesn't matter, it's just the wrong motion. That is not effortless power. It's like finding that slot in a golf swing. And so it's like the swing plane of a golf swing, and you can overswing and underswing. So I underdived there, and then I overdived here. But you have to go through that oscillation to find center, to find balance, to find alignment. Right here, another definition of willpower, because that is the wrong technique. It's not efficient. It's not really safe either. But it's kind of like getting through a round of golf with the wrong technique. You get through it, but it's just a lot more difficult. Striving for alignment in any sport is so rewarding because that's how you can tap into effortlessness. When I align my head and my body and my legs, I could drop faster and conserve oxygen. Many golfers are always trying to find tempo, and I know it sounds like I'm going against the grain, but if you do the right motion, the tempo appears. I'm able to use my fins better and swim more efficiently, not because I was looking for tempo, I was trying to do the right motion. When you do the right motion, the tempo appears. It is highly recommended to take the snorkel out of your mouth when you freedive, and I do try it at times, but I always end up going back to keeping it in my mouth, so that's why I want you to consult a professional. This is another arm motion I tried, but I always go back to my other one. This is proof that Adam walks on water. He does two things that are suggested. He pulls the snorkel out of his mouth and also presses his nose to equalize his ears. Most people should learn to do, so I suggest you consult a professional and not really learn from what I do. I prefer to keep the snorkel in my mouth, and I also naturally equalize my ears, and I heard that's not common. Maybe I will talk about that in another video of how I naturally equalize my ears.
Through golf and having sorted out what really is proper fundamentals to what are gimmicky tips, I was able to quickly diagnose that with freediving, because you could go through videos and they'll be like, oh, you got to practice your breath hold and you need a weight belt and things like that. And I'm like, no, I want to be like what I do with my students, where by the time they get the fundamentals down and get the motion together, that progress is fun in itself, and then you get plenty of distance to the point where you don't need to swing hard and fast because you've got effortless power. And technology, like a new set of clubs or whatever, can give you that extra edge, but at some point everybody's like, I got plenty of distance, like I'm having fun, you know. And I know that with freediving, I don't need to go past 30 feet. You know, 25, 30 feet is as far as I need to go. And if I can do that without a weight belt, I'm happy. And so I'm like, I don't need something else. I want to get my form better. And then also with Adam, he has great form, but he wanted to try the weight belt and he was practicing a breath hold. And I said, you know what, you're diving kind of in an angle. This is what I noticed later as I got more comfortable in the water. It took a while. I was just more focused on myself. But as I was watching, I'm like, instead of trying to work on breath hold and getting a weight belt, why don't you dive more vertically? Get your body more aligned and you can drop faster, because that's what I started to notice. Like the straighter I got my head and neck instead of like curving or looking out, and the more I went down straight, I would just drop. And then I would then efficiently use my fins, and then drop. And I noticed that I was conserving so much oxygen just by doing that. He was diving like 20 feet, 25 feet. And then once he started doing that, without a weight belt, without practicing his breath hold, he ended up going down. The deepest now is 47 feet. And so I feel like those kind of things, if you want to go deeper, then do all that. But he did that without having to practice his breath holds. He was practicing for a while, and then I'm like, yeah, but if you're going this way, it doesn't matter. And also breath holds, what I noticed is when you're sitting down on the couch or doing whatever at home and you're holding your breath, like when you're in water and you have movement, that's nothing. It's so different in the water. I mean, it's not even half of what you can hold just sitting down. It's really so different. And so I'm like, let's get our motion right. Let's get our technique right. And then now we don't use a weight belt. We don't feel like we need it. And our breath hold is so much better, because so many things I noticed is like if you swim a little bit and then dive, you have that effortless momentum. And then if you can get more aligned with your neck and your body, you use less oxygen. So another thing is, if I tilt my head before, now I can do it better. But before I tilt my head to the left and right, and I'm like, whoop, there goes my oxygen. So I had to figure out a way to be more efficient that way. And then thoughts. So if I would be more meditative, kind of the way that I am over a golf shot, then I felt like I used less oxygen, so I could stay underwater better. So when I was just like calm and at the same time purposeful, I felt like I was able to conserve my oxygen. So there's so many other ways to conserve it. That's my goal, is let's conserve it before we try to like practice that. Because I saw some videos where people were practicing breath holds and then they go into the ocean and they didn't have the right technique. And I'm like, yeah, what's the point? Let's get the technique first. And then just like in golf, let's get the technique first. And then I tell you what, you do the one swing that I teach, you don't need to swing harder or faster. The speed just happens. And then the entire game comes together beautifully. What I noticed teaching so many people the game of golf is that there's one thing in common that everyone has, and they're so afraid of change. And I just want to blow that out of the water, no pun intended. Not only am I overcoming my fears, but change is very difficult for people. And you're gonna see that there is this oscillation from, ooh, I got it, I kind of feel cool, But then there's this other part where it's like, I'm totally geeky. I mean, I just screw up and we laugh about it. And I wish that people would do that when they're learning a skill set, to not be afraid of mistakes, to be goofy, have fun, try different things. What I love about Adam is whenever I tried something or I go, should I try it? He's always, yeah, go for it. He's always for it. And I think that's so good. I always tell people, the people near you do affect your progress as well.
Building a foundation relieved some of the fears that I had about water, which led me to be more adventurous, because golf is all about ground force, and with this I felt like I was flying.
Terrible.
It was horrible.
It wasn't even a flip.
I don't know what it was. Just terrible.
Adam would sneak up on me at times, and I actually encouraged it because I knew that I had to practice keeping my composure because I knew that at times there's going to be things that would surprise me underwater.